Do this shit until they murder me.
Hello everyone. Wanted to go over something pretty simple but important. On these Toyota transmissions, I have seen what is quite common is for these two bolts, this one here and this one here, to strip. This is where the motor mount these two bolts attach to, and of course the slave cylinder bracket also is behind this. So it goes slave cylinder bracket, then the motor mount on top of it, so it sandwiches in. And my buddy's has already been, I don't know if you can tell there, it's already been helicoiled, but I'm gonna do the top as this one has not, and you can see even the hole's a little oblonged. So I'm gonna drill that out. So what's required for that is a 13 32nd drill bit to get that out for an M10 by 1.25 thread. And all you need yourself is a kit and one of the kits that have a tap in it. So yeah, let's just get to work. All right, you guys, I forgot to film something that I just got done doing, and in my head I thought I was gonna go over it, but I completely forgot. I was in a little bit of a rush. So the cannibal kit comes with this adapter that goes on the flywheel. Behind the flywheel, as you can see, there's quite a bit of space, and I don't know if you can see that adapter there, right there, that billet adapter. So that is pressed into the back of the flywheel, and it has a dowel. As you can see, these two ends, you can see the dowel right there, and it only has one, or it may have two. I think mine came with two. This one has one, but it doesn't matter. So it's a press fit. So I just kind of wedged it into the back of it, and then used a piece of wood to get it nice and even, and then hit it with a dead blow, and it's nice and wedged in there. So after that, you just align it. You just align it with the flywheel, and you just try to get the bolts on. These are only hand tight for now. I'm just kind of getting aligned, and then I'm gonna use some red Loctite. But while I'm here, I wanted to show you guys a little trick that I've been using since my 3S UTE days, like 10 years ago. In order to get this aligned as quickly as possible, you don't have to fight the transmission. Those of you guys have done 3S UTE swaps or know that stabbing the transmission to the motor can be a little bit of a pain. So a long time ago, and I know this has been going around the forums and stuff like that for years, but not many people have it out there in video. So these M10 or I think M12 by 1.25 bolts, I cut the head off of them, and then I cut a slit, just like I did with the cannibal kit all threads. As you can see there, I just cut a slit into them so that I can just kind of use a screwdriver and get these in there, still have a little bit of meat hanging out. And then these three hang on to those top three bolts at the top here, 1, 2, 3. You get those aligned, and then the transmission should be aligned. You should be able to stab it if you have the splines lined up, and you should be good to go. And after you're done with that, take one out. Like I used to take one out and then put the cannibal kit or the bolts in. Well, in this case, the cannibal kit bolts. Slam it in there. Don't torque it down all the way yet, and just get it nice and even, flush, and then take one by one. So that way you don't use your alignment. Oh wow, I should actually clean this up. I don't want any of that gunk getting in the way. So yeah, just wanted to share that tip with you guys in case nobody's ever really seen it before. So let's get this going. Hey y'all, real quick, it occurred to me as I've been asked a few times, since my buddy is using the stock fuel tank, which is in the center of the car in the tunnel. He already has his fuel pump done, so I'm not going to cover that. But people have been asking me how to run lines for the fuel system, coolant, and all that stuff if you're going to be using the stock setup. So these are the stock heater core lines, the hard lines. He's going to retain his heater, so we're definitely going to be using those. This is the stock fuel return. It's about a 6 AN inner diameter, and this is a fuel vent. This one down here, not this. This is the main filler hose or main filler neck. The fuel feed goes through the bottom there. As you can see, he already has a 6 AN setup with the factory filter, and I just uncovered that, so I know nothing's getting in there. I need to tape that back up. But I just put these back here as there's a long, I'm sure you guys have seen in the last video, there's a long sort of evap canister here for the fuel tank. It has this stud here, so without that piece, you can't mount this at the top. There's other bolts all around. There's a bunch of them actually, but as you can see, this is where the shift cables come out. I just have them tucked in there so that Of course, when I put the motor in, the motor's gonna be coming from the bottom up, and I don't want it to hit anything. This coolant hose down here, that one, we're gonna be leaving that alone. We're just gonna be doing our own custom coolant hose. Same with this side, although as you can see, it's angled that way. We're gonna be cutting that right at the bottom, right as where it's flush with the firewall here. I'm just gonna cut that metal pipe, and then I'm gonna, because it's angled towards the passenger side, and on the motor we have it angled a little differently, so I don't want to be fighting this. So I'm gonna cut it like I did on mine, and then just run a custom hose. It's gonna be very, very short, since the water neck on the K series is literally right above it. It's probably only gonna be like maybe 6 to 8 inches long. So I just wanted to cover that real quick, because those of you have been asking me like how to run these lines and where they're located. This is the fuel return, this is the vent, and your fuel feed here on the bottom. And I'm probably going to be mounting my buddy's fuel pressure regulator up here or on that side. But yeah, just wanted to cover that real quick. All right, you guys, got the motor bolted up, stabbed it in first try. As you can see, I took out those helper studs and put in the Hux Racing ones. Everything is nice and tight. I got the starter on, and this is something I wanted to note. The starter plug from this side on the K, you have a long all thread piece here that goes from here to here, and then you just want to thread it in there. There is the threads are right here in the plate, so you get through that, and then you just torque these down on both ends. Okay, I had this incorrect before. It was like a small and it was in there just to hold the plate, so I can get the other side to seal with the sealant. But either way, this is now nice and tight. This is a press fit, so you just kind of hammer this in. This is the position it goes in. And something else I wanted to note is I've been asked about how much you clearance the block. So here is a good example of not clearancing it enough. It hits, and I need to move it over just a hair. So I'm going to clearance the block just a little bit in that section, and nothing else hits. This side I actually got right on the money, or down here I might actually clearance a little bit, but still, for those of you who've been asking me how much you clearance, I mean, you can literally just see, you just kind of see, or you can just do a try by error, so that way you don't remove too much material at once. I don't know why it says I'm focusing. So there you have it. I'm gonna go ahead and get on this, and I'll show you guys just how much more material I'm removed. All right, and about 10 minutes later, with the flap disc, check that out. Clearance. I even took that sharp edge off of the top of the sleeve cylinder. I know you can tell there, but I took a little bit more off the top, because depending on the type of fitting we get, if it's going to be like a banjo fitting like mine, it'll work. But just in case he gets a taller fitting, I want there to be enough space, because doing this type of clearancing in car sucks. So it works. It's nice and straight. It's not binding in any way. And yeah, just giving you a little more angles. Look at that. And a lot of aluminum on the ground. And there we go. What's up, everyone? Ta-da! Motor's in the car. So regretfully, I did have some footage of me installing it, but my little camera ran out of battery almost immediately, and I completely didn't hear it beep. So this is what it looks like. The Cannibal Kit installed with pretty much nothing else. I just mocked up the turbo, and I took off the intake manifold, because these motors they're more difficult than others to get in, because they don't have factory engine hooks anywhere, and there's nowhere to really latch a hook or a chain or anything. So I had to get creative. So I know for those looking at, and it's also easier to take off on an MR2, especially if you're using a hoist, to take off the trunk lid so that the wing and all that gives you some extra space, especially for how low this needs to be. But I know I was wondering whether this manifold and this turbo was going to work, and I know it's hitting here, and this is not the way the turbo is going to sit. This outlet is going to go straight into the trunk, so I got to take all these off and then reposition it so I can measure so I know where to cut the hole. So I'm going to cut the hole on this side, and it's going to come straight out. As you can see, the wall, this is straight up. The intercooler is going to be mounted directly on this wall right here, and this 90-degree that's coming straight off of this turbo is going to go straight into the intercooler. I probably wouldn't even have a pipe, just a straight coupler to coupler. And on this side, it'll come out straight into the intake manifold. And yeah, it'll be easy. It'll look kind of like my setup. So yeah, it's not very hard. The only other thing, if you're doing this, it'll make it a little easier to have a load leveler, of course. But let me point out some stuff on the bottom of the car. Let me get down there real quick. Okay, I'm on the bottom of the car. And as you can see, we do have space. Okay, so what I wanted to point out was this. You see that? This is the reason why I got this swivel neck down here, because look at that factory line. Look at it from the side. This is way over here, like it's about to hit the alternator. And this line is coming. I mean, I know it's a little forced perspective, but there you go. See, look at that. You need to cut this. You need to cut this hard line so that it lines up a little better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right about right here. So that way you can get like a slight bend in the hose, or maybe even a straight hose if you have one long enough, and just go straight up. It should kind of be a straight shot, but if you have one that has a slight curve in it that comes down, it might be a little better for you. So my buddy has AC lines here. They're not connected to anything, but you will need to like unbolt this. There's one bolt or one stud. Pull this back, cut this, and you're good to go. This one you don't need to do anything to. This is the driver's side. The water neck will come pretty much straight with this. So this is where this is right here, and right about right here is where it'll come down. So straight shot. So you just need a straight hose. You can either make your own, or there is another hose out there from an '87 Dodge Caravan that will do it. It's been a known mod in the MR2 community for quite some time. So everything else underneath here looks good. I only have it on these two motor mounts on the sides, since those are the ones that hold the weight. Everything else is for movement back and forth. So yeah, everything is done here, and let's get to work button this up.